Global Sentinels. I'm Robyn, founder of the Global Sentinels Movement. On today's episode, I want you to leave having a good understanding of what the movement is, what we're doing, how you can be involved, and why you need to join the fight for what counts. I'm joined today by a good old pal, Johnny, who admittedly I have not seen for, more than 15 years?
Many moons.
This is our first time seeing each other in person in 15 years.
Well, we know each other.
Yeah, I'm taking a risk having you as the co-host.
We share very similar political opinions, and we DM. We get excited and angry about the world we live in.
That's very true. That's how I actually rediscovered you, Johnny, was on social media with your pickle reports.
The pickle reports.
Yeah, where you would talk quite seriously about some of the world's most pressing challenges.
In a funny pickle way.
In a funny pickle way, which would draw people in.
Correct.
Anyways, Johnny, we have lots to catch up on. You'll be the co-host today, interviewing me as the founder of Global Sentinels Movement.
Correct.
Before we dive into that, though, I want to hear a little bit about you. Give me the rapid-fire rundown of what you've done since high school.
So I'm a Sagittarius. No. My background's in international development and globalization. I have always believed that we should leave this world a better place from which we came. I get very pissed off when bullshit occurs, and I don't know if you've read the news, but bullshit is occurring. So I've worked for the UN Special Advisor on Prevention of Genocide on a project called Indigenous Populations, Land Disputes, and Mass Atrocities. I've worked in Sri Lanka with who they call the Rebel Nun of Sri Lanka, Sister Christine. You know what it's about. And we work with women in the free trade garment sector. We were in the Jaffna in the north after the Civil War. I worked in Kenya with a multitude of different people, Growth Africa. So basically social entrepreneurship. I still work very intently with my boy Nelson Aurea for the boys in the Masai Mara, the National Eye Conservancy. We support 3 primary schools, 2 elementaries, vocational institute. We got 30,000 Indigenous members now, a part of the community. We got over 600,000 hectares of land. We're killing the game. Margaret Atwood's one of our donors. So shout out Margaret. On top of that, I've lived in the UK, did my master's in globalization, business, and development. I've worked for the last few years with a startup out of Hong Kong on how to use blockchain to solve sort of climate change issues. I'm currently actually with the federal government doing guns and gangs. So, what up? And I've started my own fintech company where we are trying to create basically Venmo for the world. We are trying to allow 125 countries, 164 currencies, and bank the unbanked. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have access to financial infrastructure, how are you going to have social upward mobility? Now, what she was going for was how we met. Robyn was actually one of the first female quarterback high school football player. She's what we like to call a bad bitch.
On an all-guys tackle football team.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have the scars to prove it,
and we all wanted to tackle her. But listen, at the end of the day, she killed it. She killed the game. She was an amazing athlete. And I used to work every summer in Mistissini Lake outside Chibougamau, in a Creek community with the Ottawa Renegades and the Montreal Alouettes, and you came up as a football youth mentor coach. And that's when we met each other, and that's how now here we are. I think
that's how we know each other.
The last time we saw each other.
That is probably the last time we saw each other.
So there you go.
You also dated a good friend of mine, though. So
I don't know what
I remember you running in similar circles,
too.
Nope,
never happened.
So, Sentinels, as you can see, Johnny has a deep understanding of global health and development, and he's pretty freaking hilarious, which is in part why I wanted to invite him here to be my co-host for the first podcast episode for the Global Sentinels Movement. Yeah. So thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
And Robyn's nervous, so we're going to make some mistakes. We're going to juke, we're going to jive, we're going to talk, we're going to learn, we're going to love, we're going to laugh. We're going to get there together, okay?
Great.
Don't stress it.
I trust you.
All right. Oh, you're in my arms.
All right, over to me. Come on.
Oh. All right. So, at the behest of time, I need to know who, what, where, when, and how. What is this movement? Why does it matter? How could I get involved? Why should I be involved?
Okay, let's walk through those questions one at a time. So, put simply, we are global citizens who give a shit, coming together to take action to create the change in the world we need to see to secure peace and prosperity for people and the planet.
Okay.
We are ultimately a network and a platform, and the work that we're doing is really meant to connect, coordinate, equip, and mobilize global citizens who give a shit to take action both personally and politically in the interest of people and the planet.
Boom.
So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be running campaigns, which is essentially a word for running strategies to influence change in the world that we want to see. And we're going to equip Global Sentinels to participate in those campaigns.
Kick down some doors.
Kick down some doors.
Kick some doors down. And I think we talked about this earlier. What makes you different? Because there's a lot of advocacy groups. But what are they? They're beholden to the donor, the rich guy, the government, the people. Who are you beholden to? And why does it matter?
Well, our vision is to realize a world where people and the planet are the bottom line. So the bottom line of everything that we do is the interests of people and the planet. And you're totally right. Many advocacy organizations or other not-for-profits, many of whom I've had the pleasure of working for, traditionally are beholden to donors that have strings attached. So they will fund these entities and ask them to go out to do campaigns around specific issues that they have a vested interest in. So Global Sentinels Movement, we will absolutely never become the puppets of a vested interest donor. We will never take money from big institutions. We are a grassroots movement that ideally by year 8 is totally self-sufficient financially because global citizens who give a shit are willing to not only invest their time, but also their voice and some of their money to
We're
keep
coming for you, Koch brothers.
Yeah, to keep the movement alive and going. So
hear you.
yeah, we are grassroots funded,
Fluff.
and until we get there, funded by me.
Perfect. Hey, you took the chance. You're rolling the dice here, right? It's very difficult to live a life of purpose. It's very difficult to take the plunge. And when you first sent me this idea of the Global Sentinels Movement, what did I tell you? I said, there's 2 big issues that I find in this world. Apathy and ignorance. Whether it's willful ignorance or whether it's ignorance contrived or manufactured through the algorithms and the echo chambers that we live through. Cognitive dissonance is a very big issue, right? And so when you first explained this to me, I thought to myself, you're going to be a source of true, valid, vetted information. Beyond that, you are going to be somebody who is not beholden to anyone else.
Correct.
And on top of that, you are going to allow people to feel like they're in the fight. It's too often that I think, I'm just one guy. What could I do? Who am I? How could I affect change on this scale, right? So at the end of the day, apathy is not a weakness. Sorry, it is a weakness. Sorry, empathy is not a weakness. Apathy is a weakness, right?
Yeah,
And I
Elon
think-
Musk pointed that out not too long ago, right?
And I also am coming for that guy too. I'll tell you right now, we need to come together to affect and create a better world, right? Simple as that. So tell me how.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what the Global Sentinels Movement is aiming to do. We want to help inform the everyday citizen about global issues and global solutions. We want to raise their awareness to the fact that today's most pressing challenges, newsflash, require global coordination and cooperation. And then once you are informed with that information that myself and other Global Sentinel ambassadors will work hard to put in front of you, we want you to do something about it. So we're going to put together tons of different actions and activities that you can join and be a part of to make our governments, make institutions, make corporations, make broader society behave the way that we need them to behave so that people and planet are prioritized in decision making and no one's left behind.
How do you get a seat at the table?
How do you get a seat at the table?
How do you get a seat at the table? How do we all get a seat at the table? Because these tables are very small tables.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think you spoke earlier about sometimes people feel alone and they're like, I'm just one person. What can I do?
Disenfranchised.
Right?
What could I do?
And
I gotta get up and work in the morning.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah, that is true. And that is a problem that the Global Sentinels Movement is trying to and seeking to solve. I really believe that the only thing still confined by borders is the free movement of people and people's political power. So we need to start getting organized and informed as global citizens and taking collective action to influence our countries to show up the way we need them to show up in terms of global cooperation and collaboration.
So let's backpedal on that one because I love it. Ideas, emotions, connection, activity. this is now freely available. I mean, at the touch of our fingers, any person has access to all human knowledge. Problem is, we're also saturated with bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit on this depression rectangle. So, how are you going to sort through the onslaught of depression rectangle nonsense to make sure that people are being shown or being educated or being moved, have a call to action with the things that matter? How are you going to do that?
Well, I have more than a decade of experience now.
You're a doctor. Tell us how you're a doctor. Yeah. You got your doctorate.
I'm Dr. Robyn Waite.
I've got this rash. No,
at your service. Not that kind of a doctor.
I know, just kidding.
When people ask me what type of doctor, I say I'm a thinking doctor.
There you go.
Not a medical doctor.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes. So I have, more than 10 years of experience working very specifically in global health and international development context. So I have a lot of access to sources who are doing this work every day on the ground in low and middle income country contexts, community voices, people who are asking for access to better health care, who are contributing in some way, shape, or form, as well as donors who are funding those initiatives. So sources is one way that I'll make sure.
Major erosion of trust post-COVID,
in those
for better or worse, but people do not trust things these days.
Yeah.
So I guess the question was, why should we trust you, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're a doctor.
Well, I wouldn't just trust any doctor. We also
realized... But you're connected to the right people,
I'm connected to the right people.
Lived experience.
I'm connected to the right people who have lived experience and who
Trusted
have
messengers.
Influence at decision-making tables. That's one thing. I also know where to mine for information quickly, rapidly, and know that it's a legit source of information.
If I could do one thing to all high school students in the world, it would be teach them statistics and data and research capabilities.
Yeah.
Because I'll often, even when people Google, they Google to find the evidence that supports their preconceived notion, right?
Yeah.
People love to prove their own bias. Like, that's it. They do not know how to properly research, vet, or, compare different sources.
I know. Our critical thinking abilities.
I got a lot of friends, quote unquote, that are going through that right now, that have also never left their hometown. But I digress.
Yeah.
So, trusted source.
Trusted sources, lived experience. I also want to mention that the way that I envision Global Sentinels Movement operating is that we have our everyday Global Sentinels, who are people who are busy, they have full-time jobs, they are joining the movement to get access to the latest intel, information, resources to be effective Global Sentinels. And they are essentially empowered by what I'm calling Global Sentinel ambassadors. So at all times, I'd like to be running 3 campaigns.
Good.
One under the theme of healthy people, so that's a health-focused campaign or issue. One under the theme of healthy planet, so that's climate and environment focused. And one under the theme of healthy society. So that could be issues of economic inclusion and opportunity, governance, education, conflict, etc. So each campaign will have an issue expert or ambassador who is tasked with essentially following the beat of that issue on a global level and understanding what's happening within global governance mechanisms, within different research bodies, and putting that information together in a succinct, easy to understand way.
So this is the general.
They're a general.
This is the general.
Sure, call them a general. Each
they know the
campaign
tactics,
has a general.
They know the resources, they know what's going on in the battlefield.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
And then they tell the sentinels,
the troops,
or the soldiers,
the boys,
and the girls.
Or
and
they, whatever. I don't care.
Exactly.
Anyone who wants to be a part of change.
What's going on, what's up, and what they can do right now to be the most effective sentinel or troop or soldier they possibly could be. So because these are global issues that we're running campaigns around, we need to localize those campaigns nationally, right? So in addition to having these issue experts and ambassadors, we're going to have country ambassadors. And they have a very similar job, but their role is to follow the beat of domestic politics to understand who are the power holders within that country context that could make or break the campaign. What do they need to know in terms of their interests, how they can influence, make impact?
I think you need to flesh this out.
Okay, tell me.
For global governance, G7, G20, again, there are these international organizations. The average person is not represented there. There's very high-powered special interests that do very complex, difficult things that are often not legally binding. That's how global governance works. At the end of the day, we live in a predominantly democratic world. You're right.
Okay,
All right.
democracy
Let me
has
pull back
been
on that. You're
on-
right, because I actually saw
Yeah.
the stats the other day, and I think most of the world does not live in a democracy.
No, this steep decline started in 2015. It's
Sure.
awful.
So let's talk about the powers that be at the global governance level, however, are people that are still beholden to a national polity. So people that elect their government, yet care about traditionally national issues. And when it gets to the international stage, they have very little say, very little sway, very little ability to actually affect or even understand these rules, right? I always come back to the average person has no idea what a structural adjustment program. They don't know what a poverty reduction strategy paper is. They don't know the fact that this form of economic exploitation is the reason we're probably wearing the clothes on our back and have the phones in our pockets. And that's a thing that the average person should know, but does not. How do the powers that be that are so outside of traditional scope or understanding of the average person, how do we actually get into those circles? How do we affect change? How do we understand the complexity and interconnectedness of those issues? Because global issues require a global response. And we do not currently have, at the national level, an ability to have a say at those tables. We can vote in our MPs, we can vote in our congressmen or senators, but we still cannot actually say how we feel about regulatory arbitrage. You know what I mean?
Well, at the United Nations, for example, we do have a representative there in Bob Rae right now, as Canadians, anyways.
As a Sentinel or
No,
Canadian?
as Canadians.
Okay.
So we will tap into that. We'll make Bob Rae
Soon to be a Sentinel.
work harder in that role. Part of it is we need to raise awareness amongst everyday people in this country of Canada, in every country, essentially about the fact that these global issues require global solutions. What are those existing global solutions, the governance infrastructures that exist, and how can we best influence impact within them? And then what do we need to Wreck-It Ralph on the global system? So I'm not sure if you ever saw that movie, but Wreck-It Ralph.
It ain't left and right. It's up and down.
Sometimes,
Power.
sometimes if we need to Wreck-It Ralph on existing systems and infrastructure, we will. Because right now, for sure, our mechanisms of governance are not fit for purpose.
Correct.
Because the everyday person has very little political power beyond the...
There's no agency. At the end of the day, I think one of the main questions is this. You need global sentinels at home to keep people accountable. But you also say you're going to have your leaders and the people in the movement that are going to be having a seat at the table at these global governance type situations, right? So you're going to be involved with these very complex, very high level, very intense discussions, but at the same time, you're going to be able to hold people accountable at home. How do you bridge that divide between the local, the international, and essentially making it a global movement that is grassroots at the same time?
That's a great question. And that is one of the big problems with a lot of the global governance things that are happening is like the Sustainable Development Goals, for example, right? It's, for those who don't know, it's a roadmap to peace and prosperity for people on the planet that all members of the United Nations endorsed in 2015. Most everyday citizens don't even know they exist. No. So how are we actually going to hold our world leaders and our governments accountable to deliver on them? Big question mark there. So Global Sentinels Movement, we want to have, as I was saying before, a number of different country ambassadors. Okay. So say we're running a campaign to get countries to join the Coalition for Solidarity levies, and we want them to all do it at COP30, which is happening later this year in November. We would have this one campaign being rolled out in a number of different countries. The one issue ambassador would follow the beat of the Coalition of Global Solidarity levies, and then all the country ambassadors would follow the beat and opportunities in their country context, and we'd all be coming together in shared community spaces to share intel, information, resources, tactics, to take action at the same time.
Hold feet to the fire.
Hold feet to the fire, exactly. So come COP, myself and hopefully a few other people that are Global Sentinels would actually go to that moment and have a seat at the table and raise some hell if we need to in person.
We want the leaders to look across the room. We're like,
Global Sentinels Movement, that flag with that eye. Woo, they're here.
Exactly.
We better do better.
You want to be a source of movement, change, and again, that feet to the fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then we would have a bunch of feet Global Sentinel
actually
feet
on the ground,
in all these different countries.
making sure.
Exactly.
So this requires critical mass. Now, to get critical mass, do you have an idea, a plan, or some sort of number in your head, perhaps? And this is a question that we haven't discussed before, but how do you create that critical mass? How do you bring people to the table and make sure that they feel included? How do you keep people engaged? Because educate and equip, all these things you talk about, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'll tell you like more of the specifics in terms of how I envision Global Sentinels operating and how Global Sentinels can participate. So first I'm going to caveat this with I know what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Nobody knows what they're doing ever.
If you know what I mean.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
You know what I mean? So
Fake
like,
it till you make it.
I'm going to give this my best effort because before I even launched Global Sentinels Movement, I self-identified first and foremost as a global citizen who gives a shit. So I'm not going to sit there and watch the world crumble around me and do fuck all.
It's a very frustrating thing.
It's very frustrating. So many people are doing that. Fuck all. So I'm like, no, like, come on, look outside your geographical bubble.
Sharing a DM or a reel is not enough.
No.
And I feel like that's where action is beginning and ending.
Exactly. So first of all, I'm doing something about it because YOLO.
Gang.
Need to. People need to. How I plan to do it in terms of engaging Global Sentinels. So in the first instance, I have a Discord server already set up. So people can join the movement and get access to this exclusive Discord server where we will be coordinated across the different campaign themes and the different countries, and then also coming together as a global community as well.
You'll have your leaders, you'll have your moderators, you'll have your admins, you'll have a lot of active people.
Exactly. Yeah. So Discord's one way. A lot of content is going to be created because, again, raising awareness and generating political will is critical to making this movement reach that critical mass.
But primary sources, people on the ground,
yes.
People living it, people experiencing it.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
We don't want it through the lens of someone's investor.
No, exactly.
Right.
So the people who will be on future episodes of the podcast will be those country ambassadors, those issue experts, people with lived experience of not getting access to timely diagnosis and treatment for tuberculosis, for example. And from that content, we will educate, inform, build awareness, and will. And everyone will have access to that content, but Global Sentinels will get access to more exclusive things. Like, for example, every single podcast we do, we will then open up a Zoom meeting.
Oh, I love a little Q&A.
Right? To ask the expert or the person that was interviewed absolutely anything.
Level the playing field, get everyone's ideas in the room. We're going to have a time.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Okay,
I'm excited about that one.
Ooh, that's also a big part of it is, so you said you're beholden to no one. Well, actually, Global Sentinels Movement is beholden to the Global Sentinels.
Accountable to each other.
Yeah, so we will build in mechanisms for Global Sentinels to actually shape how the movement grows and evolves and what direction it takes in terms of campaigning. So, for example, the early day campaigns, the first 3 that are launched, they will be launched because I see a need and potential for impact in the world, and I think they're winnable.
And an opportunity to affect change.
And an opportunity to affect change.
Cops coming up, right?
Exactly.
And you have an opportunity to do something.
And it's a winnable campaign, I think, right?
I read it.
And it would have big impact in the world. So like those campaigns, I'm just putting out there because that's what I'm launching with. But every other campaign moving forward, I'd want to have the issue experts do their research, put a couple of campaign proposals in front of Global Sentinels, and then Global Sentinels will vote on what we should do next.
Do you think something could come out of left field? Do you think that there could be some lowly sentinel somewhere in the corner of the world that could say, I'm experiencing this issue in my community. I think could reach critical mass. It could have an issue. Could spread, whatever. Yeah. Somebody could bring something forward and you could say, this is amazing. I love it. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. It's a shared, co-created movement. That's the only way we get to critical mass and we create engagement. And we also instill a sense of responsibility to take civic action.
I think that right there is kind of the crux for me. It's like a lot of people, I don't want to say like to wash their hands of things because that's not true. I think everybody, not everybody, most people on this earth care. Most people want everybody around them to be happy, healthy, wealthy, all the good things. Nobody knows how, right? It's very difficult when you work 9 to 5, you come home to a family, you've got to fold the bed and do fold the laundry, do the bed, whatever the hell it's called. I don't know. I do the chores. I promise. Ask my wife. I do those things. But like, it's just tough. It's very easy to get lost in the monotony of day-to-day life. But I think that the one thing for all of the hellscape that it is, social media has allowed us to feel connected to one another. I don't care what race, color, creed you are. If you are experiencing injustice or pain, I ain't down with it. And
Agreed.
I want to do something about it. So I think, and if I was to summarize how I feel being a part of the Global Sentinel Movement is, I need like-minded people that have a similar level of care, compassion, empathy, and drive to do something about it that I would have never otherwise had an opportunity to meet.
Yeah.
It's like Tinder for bad motherfuckers. Is what
Yeah.
it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not gonna have sex with each other. Wow.
We're gonna change the world.
Somebody
together.
might have sex with somebody, but name me. But the point was, we're trying to meet people because we're constantly driven apart. We're constantly divided. We're constantly told you can't do it. Fuck that.
Fuck that.
Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's give a shit. Let's do something about it. And let's try to fucking one by one knock some shit down.
Yeah.
Kick some doors down. So we're bringing together the best and the brightest in the world, the experts. We're bringing together the people that care and want to learn more and want to get involved. Now, next, let's talk about the brand.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about what is the image? What is the message? What is the way in which you're going to hook people in?
Yeah, so I have spent a lot of time and some resources already on building the brand. And you might have noticed the color. It's like a highlighter yellow greenish.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Yeah. We can make that one of our songs.
That was my championship song in the winter. It was the kind of song in the.
Yeah.
I'm down with it.
Okay.
It makes me get up. I love it.
The color is meant to be like strong,
Yeah.
bold. Look at this. Like, watch out for this. Like, you can see us. You can find
I
us.
want to find you in a crowd. Is what
Yeah,
it is.
exactly.
If the
So
boy, if I see that eye, if I see that black and yellow, I know I have a fellow
Yeah.
soldier.
yeah, exactly. So that's the color that came in. The tagline, "We are global citizens who give a shit." Okay, that resonates with me personally because I've always self-identified as that. But I also think it's just basic to the point. It's a slogan that's a statement that people, I think, would want to get behind.
I agree.
And want to like show to the world that they have a certain set of values that's beyond their individual selves.
I have no more time or patience for stupidity or jargon or bullshit. Like, dude, we are living in a time where we either get busy living or get busy dying. Because like everything is poison. Everything is for $1. Everything is, we're being told, dictated what to do. Right?
Yeah. Well, that's why
This is not a joke anymore.
No,
right?
no.
Like I think we've been gaslit into the most psychopathic time in modern history. And it's time to do something about it. Because there are good people. I would like to think that good people outnumber bad people.
They do.
Any day of the week.
That's what I believe. I choose to believe that. I have to believe that.
They just organize better than us.
Elon Musk.
We need to organize
Exactly.
better. We need to organize better.
Exactly.
Because they all go to the same yacht clubs and they drink the same Kool-Aid and go to the same Diddy parties. We need to do better.
And unfortunately, those assholes have a lot of money.
Damn right they do.
And a lot of power in this
And
world
blackmail
of
and all the
oligarchs.
bullshit.
Yeah. Can you, I loved your little analogy earlier about the ants. Can you just say that?
Okay, well, let's Google the best one.
Got it, we got it.
You
So
let
just-
one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100-1. And if they ever figure that out, well, there goes our way of life. So said Steve Bannon, the Heritage Foundation, and all those motherfuckers that are a bunch of poon-hangs. I'm telling you right now, we have the power to affect change. Yet we are constantly being eroded, divided, and told we can't. All I'm saying is the French Revolution happened for a reason. I'm not saying get the guillotine. I'm saying we start
That's
with...
not what you said yesterday.
No, that's okay. Why? Get the guillotine. But we mobilize.
Yeah, we mobilize.
Before we guillotine, we mobilize and we
Yes.
hold people accountable. Because again, the systems that exist in this world are only the way they are because we have faith and believe that they should be the way they are. Everything humans have created have the opportunity to be destroyed and rebuilt. It's time to destroy and rebuild.
Yep.
At what point is it a logical thing to have a system built on infinite growth with finite resources? That is mathematically impossible.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
That's why
So, let's
the
do better.
vision, exactly. And that's exactly why the vision for Global Sentinels Movement is a world where people and planet are the bottom line. Because right now we live in a world where profit is the bottom line, and that is taking us on a race to the absolute bottom.
I love the meme. It's like, oh, the world is destroyed, but for one glorious moment, we created incredible shareholder value.
Yeah. Yay.
Shut the fuck up. Like, dude, this is one thing I also find interesting. It's called management versus ownership. So the average CEO these days doesn't actually own anything. They get paid 150 grand in their salary, but they get a $25 million stock option. So they make short-term decisions to jack up the stock price at the behest or the downfall of long-term sustainability or labor rights or whatever. They're making short-term decisions that'll jack up the stock price, that'll fuck over the average person. Milton Friedman can suck my ass, okay? That's Milton Friedman, suck my ass. We have a responsibility to the world and to people that is beyond shareholder value. And I would like to think that corporations cared. And then all of a sudden, 100 and whatever days into Trump, and all of a sudden, every single possible corporate sustainable action is now out the window. So like, oh shit, we don't have to do that no more? Fuck them. Yeah. Like, that's it.
Diversity, equity,
it's
inclusion.
Beyond DEI,
it's
though,
gone.
Right?
No,
I
mean, well, the world that I work in, it's now a massive financing crisis with the U.S. withdrawing all of its funding, essentially for global health development and humanitarian action and response. Like, it's not colloquial to say that this is murderous policy. People are dying.
Boom.
And I don't want to sit around and do nothing. I want to fight back, and I hope that a bunch of you listening will join us and join the Global Sentinels Movement. Yeah. You can do so by going to our website, globalsentinelsmovement.net. The .net is intentional because we are a network of people.
And it was cheaper. No,
it probably was. But it was intentional. I chose it for me. Yeah, actually though, so yeah, go to the join page and join. I didn't finish on the brand, which I think is important. Okay, so the color, we talked about that. Bold, strong, in your face. You can find us in a crowd.
Black and yellow.
Black and yellow. The name, Sentinels. Do you know what the definition of a sentinel is, Johnny?
I don't know. Well, somebody stands guard is what I would have thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Someone who stands guard, who stands watch.
You heard it. I was right.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. You're so smart.
Jamie, let's check that out.
And it also has a meaning in medicine, where it's like an early detection surveillance system for infectious disease.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Right?
It's tentacles.
Yep.
Sentinels, tentacles. We are going to impenetrate. I don't think that's a word. We are going to spread throughout the world and have people active on every battlefront that could possibly exist.
Yeah, and I can see them being sentinels kind of like of the old day, but using modern day digital technology where, think about the walls back, let's actually use Game of Thrones, the walls guarding the north, right? And there's a sentinel here and then a sentinel miles away, but one lights their flame and the other one sees it, and then the other lights their flame.
Technology has made the world flat. So technology has made the world flat. However...
Wait, the world's flat?
The world...
What?
What's going on in Antarctica? No. I'm a rounder. My wife is an aerospace engineer, trust me. I believe the world is wrong. No, what I'm saying is like, the earth is flat. We are able to make things a homogeneous, the ability to share and connect is there. But the people on the tower are the problem, right?
Yeah.
The people on the tower. So
no, we need to get on the tower.
We need to get on the tower and throw them off the tower.
And then be like, yo.
It's again, there's nothing wrong with democracy. It's when democracy is hijacked by capital. When capital begets power, and when power begets more power, and the world is created in the image of the people who want to maintain that power, equality feels a lot like oppression to the oppressor. And I think that we need to level the playing field.
Yeah. I don't think we live in a democracy
anymore.
No. Okay, wait. There's more on the brand. I'm actually
you want to say the Sentinel thing?
I'm so proud of the brand.
Say the eye thing.
Okay.
Eye and shield.
Yeah. So the logo then, the name. Now the logo, it's meant to be able to stand alone. So you don't need any words behind it so that it's usable across diverse languages. You just, have the image of the eye and that it's the Global Sentinels Movement, regardless of how you say that in different languages. So that's one. The other is the eye itself. It's an eye for watching, looking out, accountability, watchguard kind of ethos of the brand. And the iris of the eye is in the shape of a shield to represent standing guard and defending. Sorry, that was the pupil. That's the pupil. The pupil.
Yeah. I got what you meant.
The
Iris
iris.
surrounds.
Yes. The iris has 17 spokes
The development goals.
for the 17 Sustainable Development
I know what you
Goals.
did. I didn't know that till just now when you said it.
Yeah.
SDGs, yeah.
Pretty thoughtful, huh?
Do you know I know the guy who was the undersecretary for Ban Ki-moon? He was the top investor at my previous company. He can tell you all the stories about how they even came up with the art and hired the people to design the SDGs. He is a stud. He's a Boy Scout.
I like studs.
I could get him on the podcast. I promise you that.
Really?
Oh, dude, he's a stud.
Oh my goodness.
I think he's
I
serving
love
on the China desk right now for the UN. But
Okay.
he was under Ban Ki-moon. He literally, him and his team, like developed the SDGs.
That would be amazing.
So, like, all these conspiracy theorists that are like, oh, they're trying to take what you own. I was like, no, this is just a really brilliant guy with a really wonderful team of hardworking, wonderful people.
Yeah.
Trust me when I say this.
Yeah.
I'll get him on.
I do trust you.
I'll email.
That's great.
He's a stud.
Someone who developed my brand, actually, I'm so grateful to him. His name's Steph.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's definitely given me the friend rate. And I really appreciate
We all
that.
need the friend rate until we reach the critical mass.
Exactly.
But it's beyond money. Like, at the end of the day, like, I don't think you're not in this to get rich, right?
No.
You ain't going to get rich.
I'm not going
There
to get
ain't
rich,
no money in social change. What you want to do is to be able to tell your kids, your grandkids, and I always view it like this. If I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to think to myself, what mattered most? What do I feel regret or guilt about? Because I'll be honest with you, I think every day we all know what situation in the world we're being streamed every day without naming it. Or you can name it if you want, but my security clearance.
Call it what it is.
Yeah, a genocide.
Genocide in Gaza.
And we're being gaslit through the whole thing. We're being gaslit. It's not okay anymore. Like, at no point in any of this should anyone feel okay. And if, I think you posted it today, right? Like, if you are silent, what was it like when you're basically on the side of the oppressor if you are silent?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah.
People in the middle. The most dangerous thing a liberal can do is be, MLK said it. I can't think of the quotes. You're the person here. You lead this place.
Okay. Let me.
You posted it today.
Oh, wait.
You know what I'm saying.
I do, but I don't remember word for word.
To be silent is to be complicit.
It is.
To be silent is to be complicit.
It's to be on the side of the oppressor.
Correct. And I think that people fear retribution because of narrative and, like, fuck narrative and fuck retribution. I don't care anymore. If you see a child burning and you're more upset about a flag being burnt at a protest, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, I agree.
If that makes you more upset, then you're not all right. So let's find the people that agree with us. Let's get us to mobilize. Let's organize. And let's go to war.
Let's go to war.
Let's go to war.
I mean, because I don't like to use war terminology.
Sure.
Typically I don't, but
let's
really this
go
is
to debate.
Well, I mean that sounds less, but it's more so that it's true though. There is ideological warfare going on right now, and yeah, we need to push back because at the current time the interests of people and planet are not winning.
Correct. Bang on. And again, even when it comes to climate change, what cracks me up? People are always like, "Oh, big green." It's all a big green scam. I was like,
"Oh, greenwashing?"
Do you know? No. When they literally think that the sustainable economy is somehow buying science to convince people that climate change is a real thing. I don't know if you know this, but I played football with a lot of interesting people from high school that have very interesting ideas, that have no idea what the tipping points are, that have no idea about coral bleaching, that have no idea about parts per million carbon content. But they literally think that the world is being bought and paid for by big solar. And yet thousands of dollars in your taxpayers go to corporate subsidies for oil companies. The world's most subsidized industry in the world is fossil fuels. And you think solar panels are buying the science? Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
Actually, that's
We're being
some
misled.
stats I pull into the briefing note for the first campaign that we're going to launch.
There you go. That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
Tell us about the campaign.
Yeah. Well, so the first campaign that we're going to launch, it's called Make Polluters Pay. It's
As
really
they
quite
should.
simple. If you're part of the pollution, you should be part of the solution. And essentially what it's looking to do, it's trying to get Canada to join the coalition of solidarity levies, which is being hosted by France, Barbados, and Kenya right now. And essentially it's a coalition of willing countries and governments to introduce a new levy on a high polluting industry and committing to the revenue from those levies going towards climate and development action. And this is really timely because it's a climate crisis, but also because we're seeing a mass withdrawal of investment in what's called official development assistance, which typically ODA, which typically goes towards funding climate and development action. So the U.S. massive cuts in ODA, UK, others. So we need to find new innovative financing solutions to kind of not just only solely rely on ODA anymore. We need new financing streams to fund these things. So
it's the number one employer in the U.S. is sustainable technologies. Trump is about to pull, I think it's, what is it? It was like the 840 million or whatever it was. It was a bunch of numbers. But like hundreds of thousands of jobs are going to be lost.
Yeah.
The green space is the number one new employer in America.
That talent should come over to Canada because Prime Minister Mark Carney keeps saying that we can do both. We can get barrels to market and lower carbon. So I want to know how, and I want to bring that.
Everyone keeps talking about pipelines. None of the pipelines currently exist in Western Canada are even operating at full capacity. So let's get those up to full capacity before we start building new ones. But
that makes sense. I can understand that. Right? I can understand that. Yeah.
Neither here nor there. Even what was it? Keystone XL, I think would have been 1,500 new jobs. Everyone's acting like it would have changed the economy. Guess how many drops of oil from Keystone XL would have been designated for the domestic market in the U.S.? 0. It was all overseas. So you think it's going to lower prices at the pump? No, it was not. So again, everybody is fed a narrative from a very specific key interest. And I just hate, let's cut through the bullshit. So I think if we're going to say anything about the Sentinel movement, we're trying to cut through the bullshit, right?
Yes.
Because we want people that are experts and they're in the field. Now, beyond that.
Yeah, any other questions?
Was there?
I don't know.
Let's find out.
I don't know. Is there anything else that
I think we kind of covered it. Okay. I know nobody likes to talk about financing. Nobody likes to talk about sustaining the movement. At the end of the day, you ain't going rich, but how are you going to make it all happen?
Yes. Okay, so currently I'm financing it.
Yeah.
And I've committed like a little, budget that I'm willing to invest to get it up and running. So I will finance it with my money and also my time in the early stages of proof of concept, which is what I feel like I'm doing right now. From there, I'd like to get some like good key performance indicators, a good kind of narrative of what we're doing, how we're doing it together, and then go look for investment from high net worth individuals. And I'm targeting high net worth individuals because I don't want any funding that's going to come with strings attached. So these high net worth individuals need to be aligned with the mission and the vision and believe in what we're doing and in me as a founder, and invest because they give a shit, essentially.
There's no shortage of money in this world.
I know.
Isn't it funny that the lower percentile of all society has squandered and dwindled, and yet in the last 5 years, what is it? Trillions of dollars have gone to the upper 1% every time.
Yeah.
You know who that comes from, right? It comes from us.
Yeah, yeah.
So, the money's there.
Super there.
I think that would be a call to action for any of y'all rich motherfuckers out there.
Yeah. And so my idea is that I could secure kind of seed funding for a 2-year pilot of what I really want to do. So I'm launching right now, and I'm only launching in Canada. I'm the only ambassador, and I'm the country ambassador and the issue ambassador for all 3 campaigns.
That's not going to last long. I'll tell you right now. I got people all around the world. Don't worry about that. The Amani Institute, my boys, we've got literally people in every country around the world.
That's amazing.
All social impact,
Great.
social change advocates.
Great. Okay, amazing.
We got people in high places, low places, and everything in between.
Perfect. That's what we need. Diversity.
All right, well, they're coming.
Cool. So once ideally I'd like to raise like 1.2 million.
Okay.
From these high net worth individuals for a 2-year pilot of the bigger vision.
Okay.
And hopefully that goes well, get good key performance indicators.
What does that cover?
Again.
Where's the bulk of the money going to? Because a lot of people might hear 1.2 million in 2 years. Sounds like a lot.
Yeah, that's only $600,000 a year. That is.
What does that entail?
Yeah, so that is covering for 4 staff. That is covering for traveling. So we're going to be traveling to these key moments around the world.
Because that's how you get a seat at the table. You got to be at these conversations.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And the model is not just that paid staff go to every single event we go to. We're also going to bring a Global Sentinel. Okay. So that's how we keep it grassroots. It's how we keep Global Sentinels engaged
somebody who's
and
affected
interested
by the policy that you're discussing.
Exactly. Or somebody who's particularly active in the movement and like freaking raising hell and like
Yeah, yeah.
we need to celebrate, you know?
Dude, I'm telling you right now, data is data. If you talk about 1 million people, it doesn't matter. If you talk about training 10,000 nurses in sub-Saharan Africa, it's whatever. But if you talk about what that training of that nurse did for her family, her friends, her community, for the people, when you put a name and a face and a story and something that's emotionally evocative to data and investment, that gets people to move, man.
Yeah, I
Like-
know. That's what
like,
I've been doing in my life as a
statistics
campaigner
don't
for
fucking
years.
matter.
I know. I
But
know.
a story does.
It's the person's story and them being willing to share it. And that's also how we create more people-centered policy and practice, is having the people with lived experience around the table
And we need them
to
because
share what we
unintended
need.
consequences is the name of the game for development policy
Yeah.
for the last fucking 50
Exactly.
fucking years,
Exactly.
right?
A bunch of
Whoopsie
white
daisies.
dudes sitting in Geneva.
Whoopsies, yeah.
Sorry,
Whoopsie
deciding
daisies,
what
yeah. I thought that would work.
what the
What was I
community
doing
Kenya
there?
needed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's the plan, and then hopefully I will build some more investment off of that for another 5 years. And I've projected, and again, I'm not a numbers person, but I've done my best at projecting that by year 8, the movement will be self-sufficient financially and will be bringing in enough revenue to cover our own operating costs.
So first we need the people.
Yep.
Then we get the money.
Exactly.
Then we get the power.
Yep.
Then we do the change. Is that the name of the game?
Yeah, but it's not about money.
But the money gets the power. All right, you're right. It allows you the opportunity to be at the table
Yes.
and to
It
make sure that
helps.
everybody
Yes.
around the world, no matter what race, color, creed, or location, is able to get involved in the fight.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes, we do need resources for that eventually. But we are looking to, this is also part of what makes us different from some other advocacy and not-for-profit organizations. We are building in different streams of revenue out the gate. So,
Dude, I think you could invest. Okay, so let me put it to you this way. I am of the belief that social entrepreneurship is the key. A lot of people don't consider that social impact could be a key pillar as well as profit-driven mentality. You could start as a nonprofit and turn into a self-sustainable for-profit after the fact. Could you imagine a global community of sentinels that have products and services that benefit the world's most marginalized and poor, that we were to take an investment stake? Imagine we had a global sentinel who was creating solar panels that could be incorporated into like indigenous community roofs. And we say, okay, we're going to actually hook up as a community. We're all going to vote on it. We're going to put $10,000 into this, and boom, that allows him to go and make
Yep.
$1 million. We now have equity stake in a brilliant idea that's changing
Yep.
the world. I'm just saying, think about
that's
community
a great idea.
banking.
Community banking. That's
what it is, man.
Let's talk more about that because I
I
was
just came up with that now.
That-
But,
no,
but
it's
that's what we did
brilliant.
in Kenya, right?
and
Like,
then
pooling
that could
resources.
generate more resources for the movement, right?
Because it ain't a donation.
Yep.
It's the the results of investment.
But it is
In the people that
supporting.
matter most.
Yeah, and it is exactly.
Poor people know what poor people need.
Exactly.
Poor people have the best products and services to solve the problems of the poor. Let's find the best and brightest. Let's bring them in the community. Let's help them scale. And then let's share in the wealth.
Yeah, I totally love that.
Equity investment.
I was thinking that eventually Global Sentinels, once we have more money than we even need to operate, and we've got some tucked away.
But we're flying
for-
economy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're flying economy.
Yeah. I mean, it depends
Shut
on
your
if
mouth. We're
we
flying
need
economy.
to, you
Back
know.
of the plane.
I've flown economy and then jumped right into like crazy work days before. It's tough, but it's doable.
This is what you better do.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
better.
Extra legroom, not allowed?
No. Get the
Okay.
emergency seat.
Okay,
That's
fine,
it.
fine. Okay, so when we have more money than we need to operate
Mm-hmm.
and more money than we need in reserves, one day Global Sentinels will vote on how to target our excess resources towards supporting community-led change initiatives.
That's it. That's all I ask.
Okay.
Again, I am
Cool.
of the belief that money can beget more money if invested wisely in the people that matter most. So how do we help people scale? Scalability is everything. How do you take $1 million loan? How do you balance the books? How do you show an investor that everything is on the up and up? How do you achieve KPIs and milestones? I think that with this movement, you're going to find a lot of brilliant people with brilliant ideas, with wonderful hearts and minds. And I think that this could be much more than a simple advocacy group. I think this could be a legitimate global network of bad motherfuckers.
Well, I
Bad
am
hombres.
all about it, and I hope that you help me co-create it.
I can't point at you, but I would if I could.
Can you high-five me?
All right.